Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we are counting down our picks for the toughest weapons, armor, and trinkets to get in video games. Whether it's due to a difficult quest or an extremely low drop rate, you're either very lucky or very skilled if you've gotten any of these items.
Look, I got a job that needs doing and I need help doing it.
Number 20. Black Suit, Ultimate Spider-Man.
Okay, fine, it's a nice suit. Sorry.
In modern Spider-Man games, the toughest suits to unlock are tied to specific challenges. But back in the day, developers made things way harder. One of the suits you can unlock in Ultimate Spider-Man is the Black Symbiote suit, but to get it, you have a laundry list of completion tasks. After beating the game at least once, you must collect all 190 tokens hidden throughout the world, complete all 100 city events, get at least bronze in all 60 races, and complete 36 combat challenges. Only then could you don the iconic look, though there would be little left to do in the game.
Wow, that was a lame comeback.
It's the altitude.
Number 19. Sword of Dorman, Shadow of the Colossus. In the 2018 remake of Shadow of the Colossus, the developers included an awesome new weapon for players to collect called the Sword of Dorman. In order to find it, you had to track down 79 gold coins scattered around the world. That's not too high of a number until you consider the world's layout. The game features wide, open landscapes, so it's not as if there are any design elements leading you to these collectibles. They also aren't marked off on your map, so you just have to remember which ones you've gotten, which can be a pretty big pain. Number 18. Phantom Bow, Battlefield 4.
Objective Delta is out of our control now.
While this weapon was made much easier to get in a later update, we still want to highlight the hassle of getting it originally. Added in the Final Stand expansion, you first had to be a premium member to gain access to certain assignments, each of which required a high number of kills with specific weapons. Then you had to scour the DLC's maps for specific dog tags, a definite needle in a haystack endeavor. Then you and 3 friends had to enter the Hangar 21 map. You all needed different dog tags equipped, as well as camo for weapons and your characters earned in a previous assignment. Taking the elevator down and entering a secret code at the bottom would finally get you the bow. Number 17. Super Suit, Super Mario RPG, Legend of the 7 Stars. For this suit in Super Mario RPG, knowing what to do is easy, but actually pulling it off certainly isn't. One of Mario's main attacks is the super jump. As long as you keep pressing the attack button at the proper moment, he'll keep jumping on an enemy's head to deal more damage. However, there's a certain character in Monstro Town who will keep track of this and give you the super suit if you reach 100 jumps. There's no counter on screen during fights, and it's incredibly easy to mistime a button press, forcing you to start over. The stat increases are extremely beneficial, but it understandably takes a lot of dedication and patience. Number 16. The Elton Brand, The Elder Scrolls III: Morrowind. The Elton Brand from Morrowind features steps most players wouldn't even think of. You must first have the Gold Brand, itself a mighty sword that's obtained through a separate side quest. Afterwards, you'll have to turn yourself into a vampire and take on a different quest. Speaking with a certain character of the Vivek Mages Guild, she'll ask you to hunt down a fellow vamp named Shashev and bring back his key. But before you give her the prize, you have to have 11,171 gold exactly in your inventory. Doing so will turn the Gold Brand into the more powerful Elton Brand. Because of the easy-to-miss steps of becoming a vampire and having a very specific amount of gold, there's probably a lot of us who never got it. Number 15. Sword of Kings, Earthbound. The Sword of Kings has a pretty low chance of appearing in Earthbound, so if you want the best weapon for your companion Pooh, be prepared to grind. It can only be found in the Stonehenge base and will only be dropped by the Starman Super, a stronger and rarer variant of the regular enemy. The main problem is that it only has a 1 in 128 chance of showing up, which is a little under 0.8%. While Jeff's spy ability can sense and steal items from enemies, that doesn't help with the low appearance rate. There are actually several pieces of equipment in the game with the same 1 in 128 chance, making Earthbound a tough title to 100% on the Super Nintendo. Number 14. Hestu's Gift, The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. In Breath of the Wild, collecting Korok seeds expanded Link's inventory space, but there were 900 of them in total to find, and your reward for collecting all of them was Hestu's Gift, a completely useless item. When Tears of the Kingdom was released, Nintendo made getting the same reward a bit more difficult. There were 1,000 seeds to collect this time around. While they were marked off on the map and you could unlock the Korok mask to make finding them easier, that's still a gigantic number in a pretty large overworld. Whether they were hidden behind puzzles or given to Link for transporting lost Koroks, getting them all was a major struggle. Number 13. The Illusory Ring of a Conqueror, Dark Souls 2. This handy piece of equipment doesn't have a lot of steps to unlock, but it is still ridiculously hard to get. To earn this ring, which turns your left-hand weapon invisible, you must beat Dark Souls 2 without dying. That would be tough in a normal game, but in one developed by From Software, it's on another level of frustration. You can save scum to make it easier, reloading a save prior to death, or you can try earning it on a New Game Plus playthrough so you start with more powerful equipment. No matter what though, unlocking this ring will prove a hefty challenge for most players. Number 12. Recon Armor, Halo 3 and Halo 3 ODST.
Set, start. Tough luck, on.
In the days of the Xbox 360, having the Recon Armor in either of these Halo games signified your status as an incredible player. For Halo 3, Bungie only awarded this suit during special in-game events, and only to those with impressive stats who deserved it. For Halo 3 ODST, the developers made it a little more manageable, though still incredibly difficult. You had to complete 7 Vidmaster challenges across both games. A couple were easy, but most of them were true tests of skill, like beating 60 waves of enemies in Firefight, ODST's survival mode, or beating a campaign level on Legendary solo without firing a single round or throwing a grenade. Number 11. Hand Cannon, Dead Space series.
Objective search upon exiting the mines. Mineral resources, precious or otherwise, will be confiscated.
The Dead Space games are clearly very dark, but they give you a hilarious weapon to unlock if you're up to the challenge. Introduced in Dead Space 2, the hand cannon is a foam finger that's surprisingly powerful, with Isaac yelling bang bang or pew pew with every shot fired. In Dead Space 2, you unlock it after beating the game on Hardcore mode, itself unlocked after beating the game once, and which only allows for 3 saves. In the 2023 remake of the first game, you have to beat Impossible mode to unlock it. If you die once, you either have to start over or continue in the next lowest difficulty, meaning you won't get the reward. Number 10. Uncut Onyx, Old School RuneScape. there's a lot of resource management to deal with in old-school RuneScape, and one of the rarest resources you could ever hope to find is uncut onyx. It has different appearance rates for different sources, but all of them are pretty low. The highest is in a rewards chest at 2.29%. It's possible it will also be dropped by certain bosses, but that chance ranges from 0.1% to 0.0125%. However, the rarest place to find uncut onyx is within a bag full of gems. While you can purchase these at several locations, the chance that one of the 40 items inside will be uncut onyx is around 1 in 100 million. Number 9. The Seitengrat Bow. Final Fantasy XII, The Zodiac Age. The Final Fantasy series features a ton of items that require either an exhaustive amount of work or extreme luck to get. In Final Fantasy X, dodging 200 lightning bolts in order to get the Venus Sigil proved too infuriating for most players. But in Final Fantasy XII, The Zodiac Age, Square Enix included a weapon you'd have no idea was even there. The Seitengrat Bow is insanely powerful, but not only does it have a low chance of appearing, it can also only be found inside an invisible chest. Once you make it to the Sky Ferry, there's a 1% chance that there will be an invisible chest on the deck, and only a 20% chance that the bow will be inside. Number 8. Dragon Massacre, Monster Hunter. Just like those that came after it, the original Monster Hunter put you up against some intimidating creatures. If you wanted to unlock the Dragon Massacre, whose name should tell you how powerful a blade it was, you'd have to do a lot of slaying because it took a whole lot of grinding. It could be forged with 5 Rathian plates and 5 Rathalos plates. Not only were these two beasts pretty tough, but each plate only had around a 1% chance of dropping, and you needed 5 of each. You could spend hours upon hours killing hundreds of them and still never be able to craft this sword. Number 7. Pendulum of Doom, World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft is almost built around weapons and equipment that are near unobtainable. A special mention goes to Thunder Fury, Blessed Blade of the Windseeker, for its checklist of rare required resources found in high-level raid dungeons. However, the spot goes to the Pendulum of Doom, an axe with a passive chance to deal 250 to 350 damage on each hit. This weapon can now only be found in the classic version of the game, where it's a possible drop from only a few enemies in the Uldaman dungeon. Between these enemies, the drop chance is between 0.4% and 0.03%, so it's understandably very hard to come by. Number 6. Mythic Goldfish, Fortnite. Fortnite is constantly changing things up with overpowered weapons and gear to track down, and the Mythic Goldfish has the chance to one-shot an opponent. It may have been added way back in 2019's Chapter 2 Season 1, but that doesn't mean most of us have ever seen it. The special variant can be found in Presence or caught while fishing, an activity many players probably aren't focused on while running around trying not to get shot. However, if you throw it at another player, it deals 250 damage, instantly putting them down. So it's certainly a useful item to come across. The only problem is that it has a 1 in 1 million chance of appearing. Number 5. Prophets of Motav, Phantasy Star Online. Sega's Phantasy Star Online was ahead of its time in many ways, but Being an RPG, there were still a ton of weapons and items to unlock. By far the hardest to find was the Prophets of Motav, a book which boosted the abilities of certain characters. It was only possible to obtain on Ultimate difficulty, but its extremely low drop rate also added to its legacy. It was a possible reward from defeating 2 different enemies, but in the original Dreamcast version it only had a 1 in 1.3 million chance of showing up. This was changed in ports for the GameCube and Xbox, being 1 in 11,458, which is still exceedingly rare. Number 4. The Hide of Terramorphous, Borderlands 2. Borderlands 2 featured some surprisingly challenging raid bosses, and Terramorphous was up there with the toughest. That means to get this incredibly useful shield, you had to become very comfortable with fighting it. The boss has a 2.86% chance of dropping a legendary item, and there's only a 20% chance that it will be the Hide. That's already extremely rare, but that's just for the shield. When you factor in how different fictional manufacturers can increase the stats of any given item, things get more complicated. The Perfect Hide, which uses all rare parts from Malawan, has a drop rate of 1 in 96,446,700. Regardless, finding any version of this shield is worthy of some bragging. Number 3. Mirror of Kalandra, Path of Exile.
But you've definitely negated the pile over this place. I'll stay here for now and make sure nothing dangerous re-emerges.
In Path of Exile, there's an item that can be used to make a copy of nearly any other item in the game. Naturally, the Mirror of Kalandra is highly sought after, but because of what it can do, it's not something you will see often, if at all. The developers at Grinding Gear Games have never officially stated a drop rate, though there are many players who have poured hours into the game, killing hundreds of thousands of enemies, and never gotten one. You can also craft them with 20 mirror shards, but even they are very hard to come by. The funny thing is that these mirrors have the capability to drop at any point. The rate is just insanely low. Number 2. Tyrael's Might, Diablo II. We can't talk about Diablo II without mentioning the Zod rune, which has a staggeringly low chance of dropping. But only just beating it out is Tyrael's Might, a set of unique sacred armor. The drop rate for such armor is already very low, with only high-level enemies on the hardest difficulty able to drop them. However, for each possible unique sacred armor drop, there's only a 1 in 9 chance it will be Tyrael's Might and not Templar's Might. There are some who have been playing Diablo II since it was released over 2 decades ago, and have never glimpsed this ultra-rare equipment.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. Czerka Crate-O-Matic, Star Wars: The Old Republic. Players will spend hours or even days of their lives hunting for weapons with high damage output or armor with impressive defensive stats. But the item that is more rare than anything else in video games isn't nearly as useful. In the MMORPG Star Wars: The Old Republic, it's possible to find an item called the Czerka Crate-O-Matic, though it certainly isn't probable. All it does is disguise you as a random box or crate for about 30 seconds. What earns it the top spot is that it only has a 1 in 1 billion chance of ever appearing. It's so rare, in fact, that it earned a Guinness World Record in 2016. Which of these items were you able to acquire? Share your bragging rights down in the comments.
Hey, I know you get this all the time, but any of you see a big scary robot guy with a backpack?
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.